Hi guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yvonne Princess Shabangu. If you are new here, you're welcome to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And voila, you're part of the graceful, the beautiful, and the wonderful family. Today we are back with another video of Employment Wednesday. So what's good? What's good? I'm talking about today we're going to talk about one of the most shunned out, or rather ignored topic, but I see it's gaining momentum in the past few years. But yeah, it's been something that has been ignored. Sometimes it's a taboo to speak of, and all of that within the workplace. So today we're going to talk about mental health in the workspace. So you guys would notice that it's rarely that I'd have notes, but because I'm talking about a subject that I'm not an expert in or stuff like that, so I had to research, I had to do some notes and stuff like that, so I will refer to my notebook. So yes, we are talking about mental health in the workspace. So I thought, let me do the video at work, give it that worky feel. And then I have my beautiful plant here that is nice and giving some light to the video. And so let's chill, have your coffee, have your I'm sure you guys are driving to work. By the time you see this video or listen to this video, you're driving to work, or when you get to work, have your tea and just listen on. And and you're welcome to share your mental health stories. So yeah, let's start by defining mental health, right? So guys, mental health, a lot of people, when they think mental health, they think mental illness. Yes, that's a part of mental health. Being mentally ill is a part of mental health. So when we look at mental illness, we look at anxiety, we look at depression, we look at mental disorders and stuff like that. But mental health also means looking after your health, your mental health. It has a positive aspect to it, right? It's not just about being mentally ill. We also need to acknowledge the fact that when we say mental health, what is mental health? So I'm going to give a summarized definition that I got from research.com, which states that mental health is a state of well-being that allows you to be productive, to function at your best ability and potential. It also allows you to be fruitful, to be productive, and to be able to relate with other people. That's basically mental health, before the positives and the negative. Then when we look at mental illness, or rather mental disorder, we look at stuff like anxiety, we look at stuff like depression, we look at stuff like your bipolar and stuff like that. And there are factors that contribute to that, right? So let's start with mental health in the workplace, right? Often when we look at mental health in the workplace, people always think my boss is abusing me, my boss is being mean to me, or my colleagues are not being nice to me. Yes, those are contributing factors, but those are not the main contributing factors, right? Often mental health issues in the workplace can start from not being able to manage your time as a person, not being able to manage your workload as a person, or actually suffering from intrapersonal issues, not having emotional intelligence and stuff like that, right? But there are instances whereby it is because you're being abused by your superior, or it is because you're being abused by your colleagues, or there's just a lot of conflict within the workplace, right? So let's get into it. So yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily about your employer abusing you, right? It has a lot more to do with your internal self. It has a lot more to do with you as a person, right? So it is very important that you look at your triggers around you. We have different triggers, right? Some people will tell you, and I think this is actually a good one. Some people will tell you that do not have your work email on your cell phone. It's not good for you. Ask me why. Depending on the kind of work environment that you have, or the work environment that you work in, right? Sometimes when you see a work email, you can easily be anxious. Imagine you're driving, an email pops by. The first thing you want to do is you want to see what's in that email. You want to respond to that email. And that already distracts you from what you're doing at that particular time. So it is advisable that you remove your work email from your cell phone. That's if you have a work device. It's unfortunate if you have to work on your phone as well, right? It's important. And then secondly, it's things like when you don't have planning or boundaries, right? It's very important that you have boundaries and plan well. Like, for instance, don't mix your workspace with your place of pleasure. Or, like, an example would be where you sleep, right? You shouldn't have your work stuff where you sleep, because you're likely to work yourself until you sleep, until you pass out, and the first thing you think of when you wake up is grabbing your laptop and checking out emails and stuff like that, and that is not healthy for you as a person, right? And then, yeah, make sure that you, whatever you do as well, be deliberate and be intentional, right? A lot of the people start experiencing mental health issues within the workplace when they multitask a lot and they're not able to complete any of their tasks. They are not able to complete any of the things that they're supposed to do because they are trying to do all things at the same time. So it's important that you plan your things properly, you organize. Tell yourself that actually at this time I'm going to do ABCD. There's a book I'm currently reading called Atomic Habits by James Clear. He even says that one of the ways that you can start a new habit is by repeating it enough until it's automatic, right? And second, he says one of the ways that triggers a cue, or rather triggers a desire to change, is if you set a time and a place and a location. Yes, time, date, and location. So it's very important that you plan your things accordingly. If you have tasks allocated to you, you must make sure that, okay, on a Monday at 6 a.m. this is what I do, and I'm going to do it for such a period, right? And also, guys, it's important not to overwork yourself, right? It is important that you know your targets, and you know how long and how much it will take for you to complete those targets. So work around that, right? Some people tell you, like, for instance, I can't imagine myself leaving the office at 2 a.m. But I can imagine myself arriving at the office at 5 a.m. if I need to, or 6 a.m. if I need to, because I'd rather have these things done in the morning. In the evening, my energies are low. So I know that if I have too much work to do, it means I'm up by 3 a.m. instead of being up by 4 a.m. So you need to find what works for you. And also, guys, it's very important to alert our superiors and our managers of the things that they can do to help us function better, to help us be more productive, as opposed to just sitting there and struggling and sinking, right? I'd make an example. I'm one person who believes in feedback. If you don't give me feedback, you are pushing me to being lazy. Like, I want you to sit me down and tell me that this is not how I like it. I like it this way, and I also want you to acknowledge me if I'm doing well. So also, you need to look at those things, because some people drown into mental health illness because they're not being given feedback, they're not being given targets, they don't know whether they're coming or going, they're growing or not growing. So it's important that you realize the kind of employee, or rather the kind of person that you are as a person, right? And then you conversate with your colleagues, you conversate with your bosses. Okay, not bosses. Actually, one of my directors said I should not call him a boss, I should call him a colleague, or rather a supervisor. So it's important that you conversate with people that are senior to you, people that you can work from. Tell them that, hey, do you mind giving me feedback when I'm done with work? Don't just keep quiet. Please acknowledge research. Those are the things that keep you going. Those are the things that make you want to do more, right? And guys, it's also important as well, understanding that should you need a break or a day off, talk to your superiors and be like, hey, I've worked enough. Okay, not enough. I've worked myself too much. And can I take a day off to ease off my mind and stuff like that? We work amongst, I'm fortunate enough to work with amazing people, but I believe in that you teach people how to treat you even in the workplace, right? So it's important that you alert them should you need time out or time off, be able to tell them, hey, I need a day off, I just need to see my therapist, or I need to rest a little bit, I've overworked myself. Because here's another chat: even if you force work when you can feel your body, you are likely to make more mistakes. You are likely to mess up than you would if you had taken one day off and just refresh and then come back with a fresh perspective and stuff like that. So if you are thinking you're looking out for the company by not taking time off, by not communicating your needs, by not actually planning or asking to be treated a certain way to enhance your productivity, you're actually playing yourself and the company. Because imagine yourself, you're overworked, you've done too much, And after doing too much, you're now making more mistakes that cost companies money. And now you become more stressed because the company is not just losing its time, it's now losing money and it's losing clients, simply because we sometimes fail to actually put it out there to say, hey, I'm not coping. And if you're not coping, ask for assistance. And also, guys, it's important that we are kind to ourselves and kind to those that we work with, right? Yeah, my tea is going to be cold. It's important that we are kind to those that we work with and ourselves, right? Like, for instance, if you see that somebody is crumbling, I'm one person that's observant. It's easy for me to tell if my colleague is not okay. So if you see them that they're crumbling, ask them if they need help. If you have capacity, help them out. If you are crumbling as well, ask your fellow colleagues to say, hey guys, you know what, I'm struggling. Can someone assist me with ABCD? And also, like I said earlier, push in your work. Don't be tempted to want to do everything at the same time. If you have maybe 3 reports to submit within a week, make sure that maybe each day you complete 1, or each day you complete 2 or 1.5, whichever way works for you. And avoid copying people's work ethics without understanding why they do what they do. You get to a company, you see so and so is flourishing, you just want to be like them, but you don't realize that building a work ethic is a process, and it's a process that requires time and intention, and it requires you to understand yourself as well, because you can't take I have a colleague of mine. He's a very hard worker, but we are different in terms of timing. He's a night person. He can stay at the office until 2 a.m. right, and go home and come to the office at 9 o'clock sharp, right? I can't do that. I can leave the office at 6, but I can be at the office at 6 a.m. or at 5 a.m. if I need to be at the office at that time. So it's important that before you adopt any work ethic or any approach, understand yourself, right? And guys, investing in a therapist is not a waste of time. Don't wait until you're crumbling into pieces. If you have the means, and I know there are some facilities and some medical aids that allow you to have free therapy and stuff like that. If you have the means, make sure that you attend to that. Another way I can ease myself, I love self-help books a lot, right? I read those. They are a way of therapy for me, but other people tell you that when they're in a dark place, nothing goes in, right? But I tend to read quite a lot. Even when I'm in a dark place, I use self-help books and stuff like that of people that I look up to. And then, like I said, also don't be afraid of your superiors. It's important that you are open, transparent, and you're able to place your boundaries as you need to, and you're able to communicate with them about your needs, about whatever that you're going through, and do take time off if you need that time off, right? And be reasonable as well, because I know some people tend to abuse their advantages. Say, oh no, I'm not well, I need 3 weeks. Fine, if you need 3 weeks, great. But sometimes maybe all you need is 3 hours, or all you need is a day. But don't wait until everything is crumbling. And then to all the leaders, guys, if you are a leader, ask yourself, am I the leader I would want to be serving under? So if you are not a leader, would you appreciate yourself as a leader? Would you allow yourself to be led by you? Because some people don't ask themselves that. They don't introspect, and then they treat people badly. They're not understanding and stuff like that. And then later, when people commit suicide, when people quit, when people do weird things in the workplace, or when they react to the workplace circumstances or workplace environment, they start getting shocked to say, why is Yvonne acting like that? Why is so and so resigning? Why is so and so doing that? And forgetting to actually introspect as leaders and ask themselves, would I be okay with being led by a person that is like me? If the answer is yes, which means you're on the right track. If the answer is no, it means you have to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, how can I be a better leader? And being a leader always means you need to serve others. It's not necessarily about ordering people around and bullying people around, which is some of the things that we meet in the workplace. The person thinks because they know better or because they're a leader, they want to control other people, they want to bully other people, and they don't care what or how other people feel, and that's not the case. That's not even anything to do with leadership. That shows how you haven't worked on self, how you're not self-conscious and self-aware, because as a leader, your main agenda, your main goal should be serving A leader is a person who serves. You know, if there's anything about leaders, they know the art of service, which is why they always tell you running a business is not easy. Being a leader is not easy because a lot of people have to put in work more than just ordering around people or more than just delegating. You know, so yeah. And then it seems like I said most of the things. Oh, and then do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to seek help whenever you feel like you're crumbling. It is important that you understand yourself, because sometimes we think the companies we work for do not want to help us. But that's the thing, they do not know that we need help. Some companies are not the contributors of mental health issues. Maybe it's an intrapersonal thing, you know, because it does happen that you as a person, maybe you're fresh from varsity. When you get to the workplace, it's not what you anticipated. So you're likely to struggle, not because the work environment is not good, but because there's things that you haven't dealt with as a person, or there's things that you need to adjust to. But if you don't notice those things and identify them and point them out and notify those that are leading you or those that are supervising you, it may be a problematic or a struggle for them to even assist you, because they won't know what to do, because they sit there thinking, oh no, Yvonne is a star, we saw her academic record, we loved her at the interview, but when I get there I start messing up, and they don't know why I'm messing up until I actually point out to say, hey, I realized that I forget things, can my instructions be on email? You know, or I realized that I take longer to draft, can I be given 4 hours instead of 3 hours, you know, that kind of thing, so that you meet each other halfway. And also to all the leaders, all the company owners and stuff like that, please do initiate conversations surrounding mental health within the workplace, and also some workshops where therapists come and have talks, or even some with innovation and 4IR, you know, some thing, robotics, you know, bots that actually ask you, how are you feeling? Sometimes I know it irritates me with Teams on Outlook, right? But I love how sometimes I get pop-up message, hey, this is what you've done with your time, hey, doing great so far, those kind of things, you know. And also as leaders, it's important to acknowledge when your staff is doing well. If a person is doing great, tell them, hey, you're doing great, I love your work and stuff like that. It encourages a person, it keeps a person going. If also they're not doing well, sit them down, you know. Do not punish a person for not being a good employee, you know, but correct them, make them better, because at some point we all didn't know anything. Can a person not be punished because they don't know? You know, it's one thing when you're just lazing around, but it's another if I'm not familiar, you know. I'm not familiar, correct me, show me the way, lead me, you know, that kind of thing. So, and also guys, before I close off, I think I have about 3 minutes, because I want to keep this video at 20 minutes, or rather 25 minutes. So yeah, it's important that you have emotional intelligence, because here's another thing. I think this is what I'm learning from my current company, that every time, I think anytime any of my directors get an opportunity, they teach us this, right? First of all, don't allow anyone to bully you. As a lawyer, we live amongst lawyers that think because they've been in the profession for long, they'll bully you, or because they're from a bigger firm, or whatever the case may be, they'll bully you. So constantly my directors teach me not to allow anyone to bully me for whatever reason, especially because we are subject to statutes. So if I have read a rule and it says A, B, C, D, and I'm convinced and I can argue it, I should stay on that argument. I should not let anyone convince me otherwise, right? I should learn to stand my ground. That's number one. That's one thing you need to learn as well in the workplace. Learn to stand your ground with juniors, with seniors, even with your directors. You know, don't be rude, arrogant, or aggressive, but stand your ground. Like, just be firm. Don't allow people to walk over you. I'm taught this every single day of my life as a candidate attorney. Imagine. And then number two, it's very, 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 very important to not take things personal. Like, I think one of the most amazing directors in the world. I don't know, I've been to other parts of the world, but I think I really have really amazing directors. But sometimes on days where I mess up, I feel like they're hating on me. But consistently they assure me that, hey, if I'm shouting, or if I'm irritated, or if I'm saying certain things, it has nothing to do with you as Yvonne. It has nothing to do with you as a person, but it has everything to do with work. I'm not angry because you made a mistake. I'm angry because the work that we're doing is not done the way it's supposed to be done. So it's important that you draw the line at the fact that some people will shout because maybe that's how they correct people. And I'm not saying you have to take it, but also don't personalize things, don't self-project on things that have nothing to do with you. Because half the time, people in these companies, they're chasing targets, they're chasing growth, productivity, and stuff like that, but they're not hating on you as a person. So never self-personalize an issue whereby maybe a deal didn't go right and your boss is annoyed and you start thinking they hate you because they snapped or whatever the case may be. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's business. Men say it's business, right? But that doesn't excuse people abusing people. Don't succumb to abuse because it's simply business. But just have emotional intelligence and just have, draw lines. Don't allow people to mess around with your emotions all the time. Because when we're at work, really it has nothing to do with me as Yvonne. If I draft something and it's a mess, I'll never feel like I'm stupid. I'll just feel like this is a learning moment. This is a learning curve, right? So it's always important that you understand that, right? And then, sorry guys. Okay, so I spoke about this, right? And then, yeah, so I spoke about this. So yeah, we're almost done. So yeah, it is very important, guys, that you, wherever you work, whatever you do, firstly, you're kind to yourself, kind to those that you work with. And it's important that you understand that people around us are from different backgrounds. So you teach people, like I said, you teach people how to treat you, right? Some people think shouting is the best, but if it doesn't work for you, it is your right to actually sit a person down like, hey man, when you shout at me, you actually give me anxiety or you trigger me. So should I do something wrong? Can you please use the correct tone? Please speak to me properly. And you should normalize having these conversations, not a missed argument. Let's say you've been caught out doing something wrong, somebody snaps. Don't be trying to have those conversations at the time. So what you do is allow that person to be. And then when the whole conversation has toned down, or later on or the following day, actually go sit that person down and be like, hey, I didn't like how I felt yesterday. It was supposed to be a learning moment for me, but I started personalizing it because of how I felt or how it made me feel, because you were shouting at me. So next time when you correct me, please correct me properly. And then here's another thing. Guys, at work, everyone, me included and all of that, mind how you joke with people. You don't know how I was raised. You don't know where I come from. You don't know my issues. You don't know my triggers. So it's very important that we're cautious in how we joke around. We're cautious in the things we say to people, because sometimes that's how we trigger people's mental health issues. Because this is how you'll be making jokes that trigger a trauma in somebody else, and you don't know, and you keep on going on and on and on and on to a point whereby it affects their work, it affects their productivity. Because here's another thing. If you're not happy at work, you start coming to work late, you start not feeling like going to work, you start not doing as much as you should, your productivity goes down, your enthusiasm goes down, your creativity goes down, your innovation skills, they go down, because all you're doing is like, okay, I'm just gonna meet target and then I'll be paid. There's no excitement anymore. So it's very, very important that we're careful with how we handle each other in the workplace. So how you joke, how you speak to people is very important. And also always remember, managers and other seniors, or just everyone, people at work are not your kids. Excuse me. People at work are not your kids. People at work are not your kids. Like, hear me and hear me out. People at work are not your kids. We are colleagues. We are trying to build an empire together. We're trying to grow together. We're trying to learn. We're trying to elevate together. So let's treat each other accordingly. You can't be talking to people as if you're talking to kids. You can't be talking to people as if you're talking to your friends. It's very, 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 very important that you treat people with utmost respect. You treat people in politeness and in kindness. It's very important, right, guys? So don't be disrespectful to one another. And then before I go, I'll give you a short story of this experience I had and my other friends I had. I got a job, get a job in Cape Town, and everything is great, right? I didn't directly experience this, but when I heard what transpired, it was just a mess. I didn't appreciate it at all. So, okay, sharp, I get a job and stuff like that in Cape Town. I'm supposed to move. God being God and having different plans, I don't move. I come back to Joburg after my vacation work. And then this lady was annoyed, like the director of that particular firm was annoyed at the fact that something wasn't done. And this is how she was shouting and shouting at candidate attorneys, telling them how she's not their mother, telling them how they're not friends, saying all sorts of things. Like, you're my boss, you're my director, you're my supervisor, and I never said you're my mother. Those are things you don't say to my face, or at least even say. It's inappropriate. So mind your tongue. And these are the things we remember superiors about. Remember, the employees we keep and the people we work with affect us in the long run of our career. So if I leave your company and I'm telling the next person that, hey, don't you think of applying there? This is how this person are. Blah, 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 blah. This is how that person will also spread it to the rest of the world. That's how you lose clientele. That's how you lose majors. That's how you lose networking, because now people have this wrong precedent about you. Same goes for an employee. Whenever you leave a workplace, make sure you leave a beautiful mark, because when you leave, people will call seeking reference, and then they'll be like, no, Yvonne is lazy, or Yvonne doesn't respect people, or Yvonne is a bully, or Yvonne is this, that. So always make sure that you treat people with utmost respect, and always make sure that everything you do is out of love, it is out of intentionality, and it is out of purpose to grow and become better. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and don't forget to leave your story and how you deal with mental health related issues. And also, be aware, be kind, be loved, be light. And don't forget to pray for another person to get a job. Continue sharing those job posts. Who knows? My employer, someone else's employer might be on your timeline. God bless you.